Jerk baits don't just work in the wintertime and early spring. They will absolutely flat out catch you some fish in the summertime, especially on blueback herring lakes. Let me tell you how. Hi guys, Ryan Sheffield here with Fish North Georgia, and today I'm going to be telling you about how I like to utilize deep diving jerk baits to catch fish on blueback herring lakes, specifically over and around brush piles. Everything we ever talk about with brush piles, we talk about swim baits, topwaters, all different drop shots, you know, whatever it is. There's all different kind of techniques, but one technique that gets overlooked is jerk baiting, throwing jerk baits over brush piles, especially on blueback herring lakes. Deep diving plugs, just like this one. This is a Lucky Craft Pointer XD. It gets down a really, really long way. Other ones that I like to use too, Megabass Vision 110 plus ones, okay? But there's a new one that's only a couple years old, excuse me, that I have started throwing that I'm actually having success right now here in the month of June, catching fish over and around brush piles with, and that is the Megabass Vision 110 plus one Junior. Okay, this is the first one that I've been throwing. Okay, it's been a real deal breaker for me. Okay, this bait, it has such a tight, precise action on it, especially thrown on, you know, like 10-pound test line. That's really where I kind of thrive. That's where I kind of stay with my jerk baits. I don't really go no less. I don't really go no more. I keep it in the 10-pound test line. However, compared to the wintertime when I'm throwing jerk baits, I throw jerk baits on a much slower retrieve reel in the wintertime, a 6-4 to 1. In the summer, though, I will change over to something like a 7-3 to 1 gear ratio reel. Okay, still throwing 10-pound test line, still using the same rod that I'm throwing in the wintertime, a 6/8 medium action with a very fast tip on it, so I can really impart the action that I need with picking up the slack line. You know, a lot of guys pick up their line and then they jerk. That you're taking away the action from the bait. You need to make sure that no matter what, you're jerking the bait on a slack line. When you impart the slack line action, you get more side to side with the bait, okay? And when you're throwing them over brush piles, using your graphs, using your Panoptics, it is absolutely a ball to catch fish on, okay? You can see the fish come to it. You can see the fish come up to get it. It is absolutely some of the most fun fishing in the summertime. Why throw a jerk bait though in the summertime? Here's reason number one. They don't always want to come up and eat a topwater plug, okay? They don't. Sometimes they shy away from it. Sometimes the boat traffic's really bad. Sometimes the herring just isn't up that far up closer to the surface like it would be. Some of my most successful days throwing jerk baits over brush piles is on cloudy, overcast days, okay? The fish seem to be roaming around a little bit more. They seem to be looking up and around a little bit more on those overcast days. They're not looking into the direct sun that's coming down through the water. They will tend to come get a jerk bait faster on those overcast days. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, make sure you're using a jerk bait that you can actually get down deeper than normal. Some people throw shallow diving ones. That's all perfectly fine. You're not going to get as many fish, however, to come up and eat the jerk bait one that's down there 3, 4, 5 feet deep, okay? These Pointer XDs from Lucky Craft, they get down beyond 10 feet. They work really, really well. Same thing here with this Megabass jerkbait, the Vision 110 plus one, and then now the Vision 110 plus one Junior version. Okay, I'm really liking the Junior version right now because they're feeding so much on little bait that's only, you know, in the 3-inch range or less, you know, roughly. The Megabass Vision 110 Junior plus one here is a little over, it's almost 4 inches long. Okay, so it gets a lot closer to what the size of the bait is that they're feeding on. So going back again to the whole match the hatch philosophy, this size of a jerkbait will really match the hatch pretty good. And like I said, here recently, I've been throwing this one a lot, and I've been catching some good fish on it. Okay, so you know, we're looking at those two, the 110 plus ones, the 110 junior plus ones, and then the Lucky Crafts, the Pointer XDs. Another one that is highly overlooked, that is extremely difficult to get a hold of, is a old evergreen kicker eater SP. Okay, I have a tackle box full of them. All right, these things will get down to beyond 10 feet deep. Okay, they cast really good in the wind. They are very color coordinated in terms of looking like bait fish, looking like blueback herring. The Wagasaki color is probably my favorite one. I like the Wagasaki color for the kicker eater SP. It's probably one of the most herringy looking jerkbaits in that lineup. So the kicker eaters, the Vision 110 plus ones in the regular version and the junior version, the Lucky Craft Pointer XDs. Okay, those are my top two. In terms of castability, that is where it gets the most important. There is something that is the same with all of those baits that I have talked about. Okay, every single one of those baits, those jerk baits, cast very well into the wind. Some jerk baits that are out there, they don't cast very good in the wind. The longer ones, you know, sometimes they'll catch wind wrong. In terms of these blueback herring lakes and in terms of fishing brush piles, we all know that getting a moving bait bite or reaction bait bite, you need to be as far away as you can from those brush piles. So being able to hum a jerk bait out there a great distance, whether you throw it on casting equipment or on spinning equipment, it does not matter. Distance for casting is key. It is probably the biggest piece of advice that I can give you to go out there and have success with jerk baits over and around brush piles. Okay. The biggest thing though, after all of that, in terms of castability though, is movement. This is not something that I'm going to be sitting here jerk, pause, jerk, pause, jerk, pause. I am constantly moving my rod with this thing. I'm really getting it after it. I'm really moving it. I don't want them to get too good of a look at the bait. However, I want the bait to be able to get down and stay moving, especially when I'm using my forward-facing sonar and I'm looking at these fish and I'm throwing at them. This can be the same thing that you're kind of doing sometimes with flukes. Any of the fluke style baits, jerk shads, tricky shads, zoom flukes, whatever, it doesn't matter. Caffeine shads from Strike Kings. You're trying to impart the same thing. You don't really move those baits at a slow pace. You got to kind of trying to keep them moving. You may, with a super fluke type bait, you may impart some longer jerks and twitches into the bait, but you're not going to let the bait sit still for too terribly long. It just doesn't work as good in terms of trying to get a reaction strike out of a school of fish that is in or around a brush pile suspended. So go out there, get you some of these jerk baits. I know a lot of you guys probably have them, but go out there, go to your favorite brush piles that you catch fish off of and throw a topwater plug over them. And then you're like, well, they won't come up. Listen, pick up a jerk bait. Pick up one, throw it out there. It won't take you very long. Last big, really crucial tip that I can tell you too, don't spend a whole lot of time throwing it. Throw it over the brush piles, throw it at the fish that you see, throw 1 or 2 casts. You don't get anything, you don't elicit a strike, you don't elicit anything that makes the fish on your forward-facing sonar, whether you have it or not, whether they seem interested in it to say per se. If they don't get it within the first couple of casts, reel it in, hook the bait up onto your keeper, drop the rod, put the rod straps down, pick the trolling motor up, and go to the next one. Always stay moving. That is one of the keys to getting bit on jerk baits over brush piles. So for more tips like this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell for more. We'll see you guys on the next one.